Human laws. What are they trying to do to the Second Amendment right now? Without saying it, what are they trying to do? Absolutely. They're trying to get rid of it. Why? Why are you afraid of armed citizens, but you're not afraid of terrorists? Why do you give the authority to a small group of people with guns and not the general public? Isn't that scary?
Yes.
Like here, let me give you an example. I don't mind that people have government jobs. I don't. I don't like it at the federal level. Okay? The TSA, for example. Right? I find it hilarious that I had to go view the actual documents in Washington, D.C. I had to pass inspection to go view the First Amendment. Think about that. I had to pass inspection, be violated and searched because I had to be guilty till proven innocent, right? That's what they're basically telling you. To go view the First Amendment of the United States, the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights, which gives me freedom. I find it ridiculous, right? That's what's been happening. And we now think that it's the norm. Kids today now know it's culture that abortion exists. They now believe it's culture that government runs everything. They believe now it's just culturally accepted, right? That government runs healthcare, that it runs slums and things like that. That's what they think, right? And you know what? The one thing the kids keep throwing at me, well, our founding fathers were slave owners. But it was culture to them. That's what they grew up with. They didn't know any different, a lot of these guys, right? And guess who fought to repeal slavery in America? Our founders, most of them, okay? And it was good Christian people. And I'm not lying to you guys. One of my heroes is Martin Luther King Jr. I got 2 posters of him in my office, right? And he was the one that kept telling the government, look what you wrote 200 years ago. We hold these truths to be self-evident. We're all created equal. Why aren't you guys paying attention to this thing? That's exactly what we have to keep doing right now, is carry on that tradition and that backbone. We're created equal. The government wasn't created equal. No. We are. See? And the power belongs to me. When is the last time you saw a boss in a business get overrun by his employees and it succeeded? It doesn't work that way, right? We're the ones that are supposed to keep them in check. Now, I get these frequent questions because I want to get them out of the way. What are rights, right? Listen closely. If religion wasn't important to the founders, listen closely. Why was it the first thing that they wrote to be protected in the First Amendment? Notice that? They could have written the Second Amendment first, which today I probably would have. I would have done that, right? Let me keep my guns because I got to protect my family, right? But if religion wasn't important, why did they say Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting its free exercise thereof? And that's where the part that they would skip, right? We can go into that, but we're not going to. If rights come from God, can man touch them? Absolutely not. Are the teachings of Jesus relevant to them? Absolutely. You know why? Because you're supposed to love your neighbors yourself. If you guys look at Christ, let me get a little preachy for you with you for a minute, right? When he went to Pontius Pilate looked at me and said, don't you know that I have the authority to take your life? And Jesus said back to him, you have no authority except that which my Father giveth you. Now, Pontius, after you kill me, go make sure you feed the poor in the government system, and go make sure that you take care of my people in the healthcare system. Did Jesus say that to him? Who did he give that charge to? His disciples. Yes. We're the ones that are supposed to go feed the poor, heal the sick and the broken and the lame. We're the ones that are supposed to occupy till he comes. We're the ones that are supposed to get involved in those areas. We're the ones that are supposed to preach the gospel and handle morality, not a government. Read the Bible, right? And we'll get into that in a second. Let's see, U.S. Constitution. I could fly through this stuff, and there's more actually than this. But this is so good to me because I want you guys to understand this is exactly what we're teaching kids in colleges. When I go out to do these events, this is what we're telling them. And that's important to me because, again, they've probably never heard it this way before. And they won't hear it this way, actually. That's a sad thing, right? Now, Article 1, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution, the moment you open it, after the preamble, it says this: all legislative powers here granted shall be vested in a what? Congress of the United States.
Right. Congress.
What does the word all mean? All, right? Not
everything.
Some, right?
All
So if
us.
it's vested in a Congress, how much does the president have?
Nothing.
What about the Supreme Court?
Nothing.
You guys getting it? I know, right? Isn't that sick? Isn't it sick? Where's that constitutional authority that they have over that stuff? And we can talk about that here more. Like, I love this one here. Don't you just wish they had stopped here? Congress shall make no law. Let the state governments do it, right? I wish they'd have done that. Congress shall make no law. We'd have a 2-month session tops. They'd be out the door. They probably wouldn't even get paid because they couldn't even vote in their salary, right? Wouldn't that be great? And then we could be free amongst ourselves. Like, let me give you an example. Colorado passes the weed bill. They want to start recreational marijuana. Good for them. Hope they live long and prosper and are high all the time. I'm not going to live there. That's on them, right? But I have the freedom to move out of that state or move to another state. That's freedom. They want to go ahead and do that through their legislatures, great. That's on you guys. I have the freedom to go to another state that I agree and I align myself with, right? I used to live in Minnesota. We call it Mini-Soviet up there, right? The sickle and the cell. The most popular newspaper up there's the Star and Tribune. They call it the Star and the Sickle, right? And, so up there, the government's really taking over, and how they're lying to the people is this. Governor Dayton just boasted about a $2 billion surplus in his budget. Oh, look at this, because we raised taxes, now we have $2 billion surplus, as they're $130 billion in debt. They forgot to mention that part, right? So no, they're not in surplus at all. This is how they lie to deceive the people, right? So we're going to continue. I'm not going to go through that. Oh, sorry. I'm going to go through that, though. So, we just talked about it before, marriage. I'm just going to give you the example. When people ask me about the marriage issue, I always tell them the government has no opinion in marriage, and I have no opinion on what the government's opinion is on marriage, legally. It avoids all conflict. Do you realize if the government was out of this issue, we wouldn't even have a debate right now? Think about it, right? If marriage was left up to the people in the churches, that would determine itself, right? If you're going to be gay, you're going to be gay, right? Is it a sinful lifestyle according to Scripture? Sure, right? But how many people lie every day? Right? Let's just be blunt about this. Do you guys know what the Bible says in Proverbs 6 that he hates a lying tongue? It's an abomination to him. Why don't we talk about that? How many liars have we got in the room, right? We're easy to point the finger at someone else who's got sin. That's sad. And the moment we do that is when you start to lose them, because now you're not talking to them, you're talking at them. And they'll never come to your side. They'll never hear what you have to say because their ears are closed. We have to understand spiritually that their ears are already closed. We have to pray for them. We have to get them. Like, if I had a gay couple, I could promise you this. Ask my wife. If I had a gay couple living next door every Sunday, I promise you they'd be over at my house for dinner. Because I want to see them. I want to show them who a true Christian is. That would be my goal, right? That they would change, by the Bible says, by my good works. Not because I'm preaching, not because I'm against them, not because I'm judgmental, but because by my good works they'll change. That's what the gospel is.
Well,
right?
excuse me. It's just because as a Christian, you just don't care. It's just they're your neighbors, and it's
that's exactly
just,
right.
You want to walk their dog, their kids go to school. You don't care what their private life is.
Right. I do care about their soul as a preacher. I do. And I would do everything, and it's not even any different because they're gay. I have people over my house all the time for food. People I don't, we hosted 2 people. One of them is just crazy. They're both married. One's an extreme conservative, one's an extreme liberal. And they're married. I don't know how they do it. But they disagree on everything, right? And we had them over at our house, and I got to talk with him about conservative values, and he started to open up his eyes a little bit, right? My parents were straight Democrats up until I started talking to them about the gospel. And my dad's a pastor, okay? But I started telling him and understanding what the gospel is and its role in how to create good government. Then he started to really see and started to change. See, I don't have to be preachy about it. I just have to show people about it. That's it. And that's what's unique. Was it St. Augustine that said, preach the gospel if you have to use words, right? St. Francis, thank you. And that's the truth. I don't look at people where they are, I look at where they're going. If Jesus was to look at me where I'm at right now, he never would have died for me. He saw where I was going in his spirit. That's exactly the way we should be as Christians. Instead of, like, one of the things, and I'm just going to be blunt here about opinions. My opinion, I hated when, and I did hate it. Ask my wife, I complained about it a lot. When Hillary went down with an illness and she fainted, I saw so many posts by Christian friends of mine on Facebook. Hope the bee dies. Hope this and this. I hope she... How can you justify that, number one?
Sure.
Jesus isn't even like that when he's like, I'm not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. If we can't be an example at their lowest point, how can we be an example at their highest point? Right? This is where I think that we have to step up our game and say, you know what, we're going to be just like Christ in the best way possible. Right? And if you're not a Christian, no problem. Be the best person and moral person you can be. And let's talk afterwards so that you can be Christian.
You're seeing it now with John McCain with his brain cancer.
True. Man,
you have some people coming out support,
totally,
and then you have some people with just that hate, and it's so
hope
sad.
Dies. Are you kidding? I don't want him to die.
Listen, all of us can disagree with John McCain philosophy, everything else. You don't want to wish that on your worst enemy.
Absolutely.
Nobody.
Absolutely,
Nobody.
As we move on, though, like let's talk about the marriage thing for a minute, because I got off on a tangent, forgive me. But when we talk about what the Supreme Court can do and cannot do, it cannot make law, bottom line, right? They can only judge on matters under the Constitution. According to Article 3, Section 2, the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this what? Constitution. Again, I'll ask again, where's marriage in the Constitution? Bathrooms, those types of things. Those are left to the states. I don't even think it should be a state's issue, to be honest with you, because it's a church jurisdiction. Again, let me say this again. I was driving through New Jersey, and I passed by 2 hospitals. One of them was named Christ Hospital. I don't think the federal government named that one. Just saying, right? Or you see the big ones, right? St. Jude's, St. Ben's, Mercy Hospital. These types of things. Cedars-Sinai, a good friend of mine, OD'd before he became a Christian. He OD'd and he got sent to a hospital called Cedars-Sinai Hospital in California, right? So no, these aren't government-established places. These are places set up by the church. And I admire, I don't always agree with some of his positions, I admire Ron Paul for his stance on freedom, right? And he used to say it, when I was an OBGYN, I worked for $2.65 an hour to do what I did. We never turned on anybody for health without insurance or without money, because the church took care of the bill. That's exactly where our role should be, instead of giving it to a government, right? Again, if it's not in the Constitution, they can't rule on it, they can't even determine it. This is Rufus King. He said this: the judges must interpret the laws, they ought not to be legislators. I'm going to go through a ton of these. This is Thomas Jefferson. He wrote a letter to William Johnson. He said, there's no danger I apprehend so much as the consolidation of our government by the noiseless and therefore unalarming instrumentality of the Supreme Court. It's dangerous because that's what they left in England, the oligarchy, where the judges now became the rulers and arbiters of law. That's why they would send men from here all the way overseas to try a case that sometimes took 5 years. That's why they wrote in the Constitution about a fair and speedy trial, those types of things. So this is another quote from Thomas Jefferson to Edward Livingston. He said, one single object will entitle you to the endless gratitude of society, that of restraining judges from usurping legislation. I mean, I could go on and on. If you guys read the Federalist Papers, this was a common thing amongst them, that the judges should not be arbiters of law, right? It should be the Congress. You know why? Because the Congress represents us, whereas the judges are just appointed positions, right? Which is kind of, you know, when I look back on it now, I think they probably never thought it would have come to this, or we had corruption this way. They never thought. That's why they didn't appoint term limits or anything like that on these judges. They didn't think about that. They thought we would be diligent enough to make sure that we got the right men in there and elected good people in there, right? We'll continue. Because I could keep going and going and going. This is, if I had pastors, how many, are you guys pastors anyway? None of you? You guys want to be? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, why I talk about Scripture a lot is because how it relates to everything that's going on today. A lot of kids tell me that the Scripture is outdated, right? It's just a book of rules. It's outdated. It doesn't make sense today. And, you know, the truths are great, right, for you, but not for me because it doesn't relate to my situation. Oh my gosh, yes it does. And I always ask them, is it wrong to lie? Yeah, right? Is it wrong to kill? Absolutely. Is it wrong to hate? Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, that's in the Bible. I don't think it's timeless, man. You just don't like it, right? And that's all right. That's all right. My job is to preach. My job is to go out there and win people, right? Here's 1 Peter 2. It talks about government. Now listen to this verse very carefully. Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man. I get that a lot from pastors. The Bible says we're supposed to submit to all government authority, right? Listen to the next line, though. For the Lord's sake. You think God's pleased with some of the laws that have been enacted in America? I doubt it. So, our duty, like Paul said in the book of Acts, he said, I have to be God rather than man. Right? This is the reason I do what I do, because I see the corruption that's been happening, and I feel it's my duty as a watchman on the wall to go out there and warn people about what's going on. Not only that, point them in the right direction. You know who I love? Is this next generation. I love them. You know why? Because these kids are so against the system that they're ready to give the finger to it at every turn. Look at Antifa, right? Look at Black Lives Matter. Look at all these groups that are going out there. Like, again, you can cap on them, but I'm seeing a whole entire generation that is revolutionizing what government is supposed to be. They know they're being violated. I'm not saying I'm for them. I'm not. Right? But what I'm saying is this, if you can turn their switch on for righteousness, you've got a whole group of fighters that are willing to go against the system that's been screwing them for years. That's what I love about this generation. And I love to talk to these kids. I love it. It's a challenge for me. And you know what's cool is I love conservative speakers going into these campuses. I love that. I love Ben Shapiro. Yeah, and I love, who was it, just went into Harvard. Ann Coulter, was it? She couldn't go into Harvard, not Harvard, but
Ann Coulter.
Berkeley? Was it Berkeley? Right? I love the fact that we're trying to get into these colleges, but here's where I think my only qualm is, if they have no moral basis, we can pass the greatest laws in the world, but we'll get back to that system in 20 years if we don't have a moral system in our hearts. That's where I feel the issue is, and we're lacking in America, is that moral basis, right? Let's see, this is John Jay. He was the first Supreme Court Justice in America. This is John Jay, not from my own mouth, I don't like doing that. But he also co-wrote the Federalist Papers. He said this, Providence has given to our people the choice of their rulers, and it is the duty as well as the privilege and interest of our Christian nation to select and prefer Christians for their rulers. Now, you can disagree with that statement, and you know what? I know a lot of people who aren't Christian and they're good people. You know, the Libertarian, there was a guy running for office, president. His name was Austin Peterson. You guys hear that kid?
Yes.
Young kid, right? If you listen to his platform, it was pretty good. He actually fought more for religious freedom than anything. He said, I believe churches have the ability to practice religious freedom. It's in the First Amendment. You know what's crazy? He's an atheist. Flat out atheist. But he said, if I don't adhere to what the founders wrote, then all of what we're fighting for is not freedom. That people can't be free to practice their religion. Right? And he targeted Christianity first. He's saying, I believe Christians are under attack the most because they have a pure system. You know what's awesome about that? Again, God will use anything to get his message out there. There's only one area that I think he kind of lapsed on. A kid asked him, do our rights come from God? And he said, no, they're self-evident. Listen close. Listen to that. He said, no, our rights are self-evident. Self-evident what? That all men are created equal with rights from God. That's the self-evident truth. Not that our rights are there, that rights come from God and that we're created by God. That's the truth. That's the self-evident truth. So again, it takes us to get out there and keep preaching and keep going out there and doing our best to be the best witnesses we can be, right? This is Noah Webster, again, his cousin was one of the first quotes I gave. He said, if the citizens neglect their duty and place unprincipled men in office, the government will soon be corrupted. If a Republican government fails to secure public prosperity and happiness, it's because the citizens neglect the divine commands and elect bad men to make and administer the laws. This guy was considered the father of American education. He wrote a lot of our first textbooks in America for schools. You know, what most people don't realize is Congress's first book ever printed was a Bible for public schools. There's a reason that they did that, right? There's a reason they did that. Because they knew without that foundation, our kids would be destroyed. And look at our kids today. Did you ever think in your lifetime that you would see kids shoot up a school? I mean, did you ever? I grew up in Sleepy Eye, Minnesota, small town. Small. You guys know Little Austin Prairie? I grew up there, right? Never did it cross our minds to go into a school. None of my friends, everybody that I talked to, small town, 3,600 people, it didn't even cross your mind. You know what we did that was bad? Beer. Sometimes a little weed, I mean, shoot straight, right? That was the worst things we did. Sex before marriage was a common thing, right? That's what they did. But there was never this issue of, I'm going to bring a gun to school to settle my effort. A lot of the times it was just us in a fisticuffs, and then at the end you shook each other's hand and said, all right, dude, good fight. Thanks for whooping my butt. Can we be friends now? Right? That's how it ended. Nowadays, kids are bringing guns to school and trying to resolve their issues that way. Now, I'm almost done, but I want to talk about our duty, because I think you brought up a valid question. Why would I want to preach? Why would I want to do some of these things? And if you could elaborate on that, that would be great, because I think that was a valid question.
I guess that was the whole thing. If you're just acting like he said, if you're just being a Christian and leaving everyone alone and being Christians, why would you focus on them and not your other neighbors?
Which I do, you know. But what I'm saying is, I think today it's become so polarized that we point out this sin, this national sin of homosexuality. As a matter of fact, why I say that is because even in our old state of Minnesota, we tried to pass a law on what is it, defining marriage between a man and a woman. And that I was against it. I don't want the government having any more authority over something they shouldn't have, right? What I'm saying is, I've never seen anybody any different than any other person that I talk to. To me, people are created equal. They just make decisions that That's what they do. That's in their nature, right? It's in our nature to sin. And that's why I don't think we should focus on the negative of it. I think we should focus on where they're going, where we can point these people to. And I'm not talking about just gay people. I'm not saying people. I'm saying all people, right? I love going into inner city kids. To me, they seem the most disenfranchised. I was just in downtown Detroit. I preached at a school. It's like an after-school program. And it was all black kids. And every one of them had this one same question. What are you going to tell me today that's going to get me out of this situation tomorrow? That's valid, right? I mean, so I can sit here and tell you, yeah, you can do anything you want to be. You can be anything you want to be in this country. You know what one kid piped up and told me? I'll never forget it. His name is Josh. Pray for him. This was last year. I'll never forget this kid. He said to me, "Do you think it's easy for us to be able to do anything we want to do when you got cops following you for 4 blocks thinking that you stole something?" He goes, "Because it happens every day." Seriously. That school program is across the street from a barbershop. 2 kids came up to me and said, "You know what happens? That's not a barbershop. They sell drugs out of the basement there." That's how they live. That's why a government program can't fix it. We can. We are the ones that have to fix this and point them in the right direction. That's why I get so impassioned, because these kids have never, it's like they don't know what to do except to just be where they're at, and that's it, that's their life. I'm sorry, no it's not. There's so much more out there for you. If my dad didn't come here in the 60s, I wouldn't even have the opportunity to come and speak to you right now. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to own 2 businesses in my life and be successful at what I did, right? So that I could give all that up to come and preach. And to do what we do. Because I think people need to see the real price. Not just because of a church or a building or anything like that, but because I think we've done, and I'm saying this to myself, I used to say this to myself every morning, don't be the thing you hate. And I used to hate hypocrisy. I used to hate it. And a lot of people tell me, especially kids in school, I don't go to college. I was just at a high school in Michigan. Port Huron. Kid told me, he's like, "I don't go to church because of hypocrites." And I said, "Yeah, you got a job?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Is there hypocrites at your job?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Then you shouldn't work then, right?" Right? Or are you supposed to be the example that you're not, you know what I mean? So they're not supposed to be, you're supposed to be the example so that you're not a hypocrite and teach them not to be. Right? Same thing. I believe we have a responsibility before God. You know why I care about people that way? I don't care who they are. It's because Christ told me to preach. Read Romans 1, Romans 2, Romans 6, 1 Corinthians 3, 1 Corinthians 5. My job is to preach the gospel. I do care about people and how they live, but I can't force them to change. And that's what I love about God. I don't have to force people to change. I love that. I love that more than anything. We'll continue. Now, it's going to get a little heavy in the room if it's not already there. Right? This is Charles Finney. And this guy actually preached a sermon in 1845. He said, if there's a decay of conscience, the pulpit is responsible for it. Listen close. He said, if the public press lacks moral discernment, the pulpit is responsible for it. If the church is degenerate and worldly, the pulpit is responsible for it. He said, if the world loses interest in Christianity, remember he's talking to Christians, the pulpit is responsible for it. If Satan rules in the halls of our legislation, the pulpit's responsible for it. If our politics become so corrupt that the very foundations of our government are ready to fall away, I'm the one responsible. I can't blame the last 8 years of our administration, because who elected him in there? The people, right? Can't blame anybody else but us. That's why there's no more reason to harbor anger about what happened or what didn't happen or what should have happened or what could have happened. You're doing exactly what we're supposed to do. We see a good fight, get in it. Right? Is it uphill? Can you beat Elizabeth Warren? Shoot, yeah. I believe you can. I really do. I believe you have a shot. Because her works speak for themselves. Right? You don't have to cap on her. Just show what she's not doing. Right? You don't have to cap on her publicly. Just show. She's not following the law. I want to. I want to make sure people are free. You have an opportunity to win, sir, and I believe you can. Absolutely you can. Absolutely. And I'll do anything I can to help you. Right? We just got a guy elected in Ohio. He took over John Boehner's seat. His name's Warren Davidson. Awesome guy. Second week in office, he put a probe on the Clinton Foundation. That boy! There you go. Do your job. Right? That's his job. He's supposed to eliminate corruption. That's what the whole purpose of him getting elected for. This is Thomas Paine. He said, if there be trouble, let it be in my days so that my child may have peace. I wish politicians would preach that way. right? Because who's going to suffer for the debt that we have? My kids and their kids, if we don't take care of it, right? Who's going to suffer for all the corruption in government? My kids. And if I don't equip them how to fight, they're going to lose, right? Unless God divinely intervenes, which He can do. He's good at that. He's got it. I'm not, right? But my duty is to teach them, right? This is why we started this. We've been going into colleges now for the last year and a half. We've done several, and we continue to do them. Hopefully here in the fall we're starting back up to go into them. It's called The Awakening. And the real reason is because, again, I was that kid that went to college, got lied to. I didn't finish college, I hated college. I'm sure many of you can relate. I don't know, how many college degrees a year? God bless you. God bless you. I don't know how you did it. I couldn't stand school, right? But now what I see with kids is they're almost like, they're blinded in a sense where they can't even hear another opinion. I don't care what opinion they have. I'm glad that they have an opinion. The bad part is when you shut your ear off to another opinion. That's where you see the hardness of it, and that's what's dangerous about our upcoming generation in society now, today, right? And this was, I'm not going to do that. How many of you guys have lost this in some way, shape, or form? I do probably once a month. Sometimes when you hear about the bombing in Paris or something like that, I lose hope pretty quickly. Because I get to thinking to myself, all this time I see all these great other guys that do what I do, and they do it better than, sometimes in my case, they do it better than me, or they're different preachers and they're doing this, and then we hear about a bombing or a school shooting or a church being shot up or a mosque being shot up, something like that. I begin to lose hope in the sense that, is there anything that'll work to fix this thing? You know what I mean? Because it just seems like it gets worse, right? And this is why I go back to our founders, right? And I am almost done. It says, if virtue and knowledge are diffused among the people, they will never be enslaved. This will be their great security. This is your former governor, Samuel Adams, right? Let's see. I remember when I almost quit in 2013, brother. Mr. O'Brien, I almost quit in 2013. And I remember telling my wife, I said, why am I fighting this hard for? You remember that? I was in the house. She told me to go shut up and pray. Good wife. And I did. No, she did. She was like, look, if you would just shut up and pray instead of trying to figure this out in your head, you'd get more answers and clarity, right? Who would have known 3 years later we started this, to go out there and reach kids in schools, right? But I think about them. Like, imagine had I quit, who was going to fight for them? If I don't show my kids how to fight, how are they going to fight? I'm talking about spiritual, I'm talking about physical. Though they're really good at punching. You should ask me. I've got bruises all over my belt. Right? And this is my last quote here. It's John Adams. He says this: posterity, future generations, kids, people. You will never know how much it costs this present generation to preserve your freedom. I hope you make good use of it. For if you do not, I shall repent in heaven that I took half the pains to preserve it. This was one of your founding fathers. And what I love about this area is, well, here's where it started. And I believe it's going to start again. I believe it's here where I think that we have the right people. The more I travel and speak here, there's a lot of conservatives here. A whole lot of them. You know what the problem is? They're afraid to talk. Because they're afraid to get shouted down or be called a bigot or a racist or really. I love it. There was a guy in Minnesota that called me because I was a conservative. He said, you must be a part of the KKK. This is what I did. I was like, I had never seen a Mexican in the KKK, sir. They were against me, man. What are you talking about, man? But what's crazy is that's how people think. Let's label them right away and shut them down, right? And if the conservatives would understand that you have a stronger voice than you give yourself credit for, that there's actually more conservatives out there than you think.
And they were Democrats.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Don't be afraid of what they label you, because guess what? They call Christ Beelzebub. They call God the devil.
You get on the Meat and Potato Show, you know, you'll never be afraid to talk about who you are.
I agree. Let's see, we just came out with this DVD, a lot of the message. There's a couple other messages that I do on here. You guys, are you going to do it? So, we did this because a lot of people ask us, I talk really fast, and so they say, do you have this on DVD? Can I give something to my pastor? Or, my family member who's dealing with this, they don't understand government, and that kind of thing. So we have this DVD, it's just a 2-minute trailer on it that we created. Now. Sorry.
I'm reminded of a quote by Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who once stated, "The ultimate test of a moral society is the kind of world that it leaves to its children." I just recently celebrated 10 years of marriage. I see that I have 3 children that are growing up in America, and I've got to wonder to myself, what kind of a future are we leaving to our children? I get the greatest opportunity to travel all over the country, and some of the same questions and responses are, can Christians be involved in civil government? Weren't the founding fathers deists? My pastor doesn't want to talk about these. Does God talk about the government in the Bible? Doesn't Romans 13 tell us to submit to all governing authority? Is it too late? Are we too far gone? What about my children? Again, our children are growing up, and in the next 20 years, 30 years, they're going to be holding positions of power and spheres of influence. We need to teach them now what it means in our Declaration of Independence when it says that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is our chance to show them and to give them something for their future generations, because we don't know when Jesus is coming back. But I'll say this, if he doesn't come back in our time, America needs to be preserved for our children. Is there any hope? The answer? Yes.
So you guys can pick one of these up. It's just a donation, whatever you guys can donate for them. If you don't have any money, don't care, take one. Because we feel we can't sell the gospel, and it's got that in there, so take one. Please do. Give it to your pastors. Get out there and be active, right? We also have, this here, we got our cool t-shirts, which I can never model because they only go up to 2X and I'm a 3. So, just because of her, she ordered these shirts that were too tight. And so these are really soft cotton, so you guys get one of these up here if you'd like. But I'm pretty much done. Thank you guys for having me. If you guys have any other questions, don't ask. I'm kidding. Go ahead and ask. God bless you guys. Thank you. Oh,
you have a question?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Comment upon.
Sure.
I found it very interesting when you mentioned that you come across some kids from high school, college. We say that, well, our church is full of hippies. And I stopped going to church for many, many years.
Yeah.
Because of that same reason. Then somebody gave me an incredible piece of advice, which I think that anytime anybody says that, the simple answer is, why do you think you should go to church? And they all kind of go, say, well, because of God, right? So why don't you learn to look up?
That's right. Around. That's right. There you go. See that? The gospel in 2 seconds. Oh, boy. Awesome. Love that. Go ahead. Yeah.